Hi and welcome to another Alpha Audio video. Finally, we can say our new reference system is finished. Well, finished. A system is never finished, that's the hobby, but we have the feeling now that we have a well-balanced baseline on which we can work and with which we can test equipment. Our previous reference system we worked with for around, I think, 5 or 6 years, and it was the Bryston 4B SST3. Jeffrey uses it now. It had a Labs XP10 and later the XP12 preamp, and of course our Vocal Sopra loudspeakers. As a DAC we used the Metrum Acoustics Pavan level 2 and later on the level 3, and it was all, it was a very nice musical sounding system that performed pretty flat. And you have to keep in mind that we use this system to detect differences in cables, in gear. We have to be able to tell if a DAC or another source or an amplifier is neutral sounding and has grip on a loudspeaker. So it's actually a tool for us. With the new reference system, the Sonnet Pasithea triggered us to invest in better gear. We have to be able to do that as well, but on a slightly higher level. Because we noticed that the system was very transparent, but not transparent enough for me to detect nuances in very high-end gear like the Sonnet Pasithea. And yeah, of course, it's not the most expensive DA converter in the world, but it's amazing in terms of detail and noise levels especially. It measured minus 160 dB in noise. It's the limits of our Prism D-scope actually. So for us it was a no-brainer to keep the Sonnet Pasithea as a reference DAC, but we noticed that the Pasithea not always matched well with the rest of the system. So we bought a Grimm UC1 as well to have a balance in DA converters, because in some terms the Pasithea is better and in other terms the UC1 is actually better. Especially with electronic music, the UC1 has my preference because it has a more airy treble area than the Pasithea, but the Pasithea is better with acoustical music and to place an instrument in a 3D space. It's remarkable with that. So we kept the Pasithea, bought a UC1 as well, and then we bought a Labs X150.8 power amp to match with the XP12 preamp. It was a long treasured dream, which finally became reality, and it's even better than I thought it would be. It's an amazing power amp. It's so fluid and yet very powerful and incredibly transparent in all areas. So it was a very nice addition to our reference system. But then we had a reality check. Not every speaker matches with every amp. And you know that, I know that, but I thought, you know what, the Vocal Sopra will work with that. It matches with virtually any amp. It didn't work out. It was far too mid-forward. It was a little bit harsh even, and it was not calm at all. So it was very detail rich, because the Pasithea is detail rich, the Labs is detail rich, and the Sopra is detail rich, but it was just too much of a good thing. So we had to invest in other speakers, and that was a really tough challenge. Finding the right speaker for your reference system is hard. So I think I never ever tested that much loudspeakers in the 10,000 euro area as we did in the past year. Revels, Driades, Yamaha bookshelves, Paradigm, Kudos, even electrostats, magnetostats like Diptyque and Final Audio. Well, you can see it on the website. And they all had some stuff that I really liked, but also some stuff that I didn't like. So we needed a loudspeaker that had almost an impossible combination of factors. Like it has to be detail rich, it has to be flat measuring, because I needed a loudspeaker that doesn't color. And we needed something that combined with a lot of amplifiers. We needed something that is still very relaxing if we want to listen to music. So it needed a lot of stuff. And then the TAD arrived, and I knew it was too expensive. Because in Europe, well, at least in the Netherlands, it's almost 15,000 euros a pair. So it was too expensive, but you know what? I haven't tested any TADs ever. And I know the loudspeakers, they're amazing, but they're way too expensive in most cases. I mean, TAD is a high-end brand and it doesn't produce any cheap loudspeakers. So I always thought, yeah, well, I like them. We'll test them someday, but not now. But then the Evolution 2 arrived and it was 14,000 something, almost 15. I thought, yeah, I can do that. I immediately fell in love. It's very fluid. It's very detail rich all across the audio band. I mean, the bass goes way down to 30 hertz, but it's still very transparent and very accurate. The mid-range is incredibly smooth, but very revealing. And the upper end, I mean, yeah, I like beryllium tweeters. I love the upper end. It's very airy. It's very fast. But the thing that struck me the most with the TAD in combination with the Past Labs was the layering. You can follow everything in a track. And that's something that the Focal did very well, but the TAD does obviously better than the Focal. I mean, it's so easy to dig deep into the music, but it will never be analytical. So that was the last thing. Then we had to save a lot of money to actually buy them. That was the end of a Focal Sopra era, and I absolutely love the Focal Sopra #1. It's a very good speaker, and it's still very competitive, but it just didn't match with the Past Labs X150.8. It did match, on the other hand, with the Past X25. The INT 25, the integrated amp. And that surprises me because that's also 25 watts in class A. But the preamp with the power amp was just too transparent and it was not really relaxing to listen to it anymore. So, in the end, after a year of combining stuff and getting rid of other stuff, we have a completely new system. I didn't foresee that. I mean, we sold our DAC, we sold our power amp, we sold our loudspeakers. We have different cables now as well, and I didn't even touch on that. We have different filtering. We have, well, everything is different, and all within a year, which is surprising because now we have the Titan Evolution 5 from Isotek as a power conditioner for our power amps, and it matches well with the Past Labs as well. It's different, the effect. On the Bryston, it's an absolute must because you get a much deeper bass with the Titan. With the Past Labs, it's not as dramatic, but it's still better. Because the load from the Past is different on the filter. It's 25 watts in class A almost. So the current draw on the Titan is constant until you, of course, play very, very loud, then it will switch to AB in some cases and the load on the Titan will be different. But it's 375 watts continuous power draw. So I definitely switch it off at night because one, the room will be really hot after a week, and two, it's very bad for the environment. You can't leave an amp like that on all the time. We also use the Aquarius version 5 for our sources now, because the power in these offices is just very polluted. It's bad, so we need conditioning. And it works like a charm. The Aquarius 5 is a very decent power conditioner for sources. I don't like it on the Pass Labs. The high current output is just not good enough. That's why we use the Titan, because it's a lot better. We have our network still optically decoupled. There are switches now that are actually better than our optical solution, but they're very expensive, and I still like the bang for the buck solution in this case. We use optical decoupling for the network, and then we go to our streamer. The streamer is still the Alpha Audio PC, but tweaked with Jcat XE cards now. Yes, they're expensive, but they're amazing. They're very good. We have a SOTM audio PC now as well. We're reviewing it at the moment, but that's another story. We use power cables made by YETI. It's a Dutch guy we know. He makes very nice power cables for a reasonable amount of money. And we like reasonable priced cables because, well, a cable is not an equalizer. It should be the dot on the I. And these power cables are affordable. They perform very well. And that's why we use them. I like them. Then we use Driade interlinks and Grimm TPM interlinks. TPM I like very much. The SQM is slightly different, especially in the bass it's a bit different, but I like the TPM more. They're not on sale anymore, so if you like Grimm cable, SQM is also very good. But in this case I like the TPM still a little bit better. And the Driade Flow speaker cables, of course, and that's because they're very neutral sounding. They don't do anything weird. They're not exorbitant in price. I mean, yes, 800 euros is a lot of money, but it's still within the bandwidth we actually like. So, oh, I forgot one thing. With the audio PC, we use the Mutec MC3 Plus USB as a USB bridge. It reclocks all the USB signals from the audio PC and then spits it out in SPDIF with AES or optical or coaxial, everything you want. It's an amazing box. It's around 1200 euros, I think. It's ridiculously good. So if you need a USB interface, the Mutec MC3 Plus is one of the best we know. You can actually externally clock it, then it's even better. But I think the external clock, the Ref 10 and the Ref 120, are expensive, especially the 120. I'm still thinking about a Ref 10 because it's just ridiculously good. You get a lot of more. You get more space. You get more fluidity. You get more detail, but not analytical. It's a really good upgrade. The Ref 120 I think is too expensive for the extra you get, but the Ref 10 is a good investment if you want that extra air and refinement. That's our main system. We also have a smaller system we use in our working space, the typing office, the typing whatever, the typing space. That consists of a Yamaha AS2200. I really like that amp. I still do. It's very neutral. It's very clean. I can imagine that for some people it's a little bit too clean, but hey, it's just a neutral sounding amp. And you can combine it with a lot of loudspeakers because it's very stable. We use the Sonus Faber Lumina 2s on them, and I really dig that speaker. It's just so musical sounding. It looks good, it sounds good, it sounds great actually. And it combines on a lot of amplifiers because it's an easy load. So it's an easy speaker to work with, and I can still hear a lot of differences in gear. And that's the other thing I need with a loudspeaker, is that it can show me what is going on. And the Lumina 2 is good enough for that. It's not the best loudspeaker in the world, obviously, otherwise we wouldn't have bought the TADs, but this loudspeaker is just so good in this price range that we thought, yeah, you know what, we're gonna buy it for our reference because it does a lot of stuff very well. We use a Bluesound Node 2 as a source. It fits in that price range. It's one of the best streamers you can buy in the price range up to 1,000 euros, I think. I mean, you have a very well developed platform, BlueOS. It performs just very well. It combines with every streaming service I need. It combines with Roon, which I need. You have optical in and out. You have coaxial out. You have HDMI if you want to. It's just a very good device. And well, the Yamaha accepts all kinds of analog sources, even vinyl. So maybe we'll buy even a record player in the future. So that's our entry-level system we use for cheaper gear. And then, of course, we have the cinema side. And I didn't film that because we don't use it that often, still not. Because we can actually review in-wall and on-wall loudspeakers there. We can review projectors if we want to. We can use it for AV gear if we want to. But Alpha Audio is not a platform for multi-channel, I noticed. I tried, I failed, but I still think that in-wall and on-wall is an interesting segment in our industry because it will be better and better and better. And a lot of people, not in the Netherlands, but in Belgium and other countries, use in-wall loudspeakers. So we will still review them, and we have the place and gear for that, to do that. Of course, we have external authors as well. I mean, we have Jeffrey, we have Martijn, we have Jung, we have our news editor, and they all work from home as well. The bigger tests we do here. But Jung is the guy for headphones and Hifi, and he didn't write a lot lately, but he will if he has the time. And Martijn works from home, and sometimes we do tests together here at the office. And Jeffrey, well, he lives in Belgium, so it's kind of hard for him to drop by. But he has a very decent space at home from which he works. And I visited him a couple of times and I know how he works. He's very thorough and he has a very nice reference system as well. And you can read more about that on alphaaudio.nl and alphaaudio.net. Because he recently made an update when he bought the Bryston 4B from me. So I could invest in the Pulse Labs. So that's our new reference system and the other two systems which are updated as well. I hope you like it and I hope you like this update and I hope to see you soon on other videos and on the website, of course. See you later. Bye bye.